Okay. Am I back? Let's see. Let's see if I'm back. I got disconnected and hopefully I'm back. There we go. I think I'm back. Yeah. Stream dead. Thanks, Tebs, on Discord. Yeah, I definitely had a connection issue. OBS warned, shot up and gave me a connection issue. So hopefully we'll be okay for a bit. That was a very short blip. I'm not sure what happened there. But I'm back. Stream dad. I'm back. LLMs are in a weird spot. Yeah. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Sorry, folks. I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened. Everything seemed fine. Even on the other machine, the internet was still up. It was a very strange thing, but I'm back. So yeah, I was saying thank you everybody for the financial contributions. I know it can be difficult to part with a few bucks, but I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully things are stable now. They seem stable. All my levels seem stable. Not sure what happened. So we're gonna get into it. Let's get into it. Let's give you guys what you pay for. All right. Let's give you the daily tech news. And one more time, thank you to all the contributors. I appreciate it. If I missed chat while I was down, just send the chat messages again. I'll keep an eye on this side here. I'll get through some of these articles. I'll do one at a time and then I'll check on chat because I'm not sure. I'm not sure if anybody's shot out any chat messages while I effed. I Interactive, I'm not monetized on YouTube yet. Now, if you type in, if you want to do that, if you want to do financial donations, just type in exclamation mark tip and it'll lead you sorry to a Streamlabs link and you can put in whatever you want, like $1 or whatever, right? And then it'll show up here. I'm close to being monetized on YouTube. I'm like less than 400 hours watch hours away on my videos from being able to apply. But I'm not there yet. Yeah. Okay. Let's get started. I've got the first article up. I'm going to focus on the article for a hot minute here, and then we'll get into. Okay, let me just check one thing here. Okay, perfect. I think I'm good. Let me make sure that I didn't cause an error. Sometimes X has issues when there's a No, it looks fine. All right. Had to check. X is fine. Everything's fine. We're good. Let's get into the articles, folks. So just so you guys know, today is a bit of a mixture of articles. So I just want to preface this stream by saying that there's going to be some articles that apply to some people and not others. And because I'm going to be jumping around between different types of articles, it's not going to be, it probably won't be the most like interesting, fascinating stream. Okay. But I am covering these articles on purpose. And if you've been watching my streams for a while now, then, what am I trying to say? You'll start to pick up what I'm trying to lay out. The whole point of these daily tech news streams is to get on record the types of articles that I want to get as evidence to back up a lot of the claims I'm making about the state of the industry. So it's not just me ranting, there's evidence behind it. And that's why I have a year's plus worth of catalog of these streams on my YouTube. Now, I'm glad I'm doing this. And the reason why, actually, a perfect example. Yesterday, I covered the fascist maggot articles where people on the GNOME team were calling people like you and I fascist maggots. And, there's words I can't use on any of the streams I'm on, terms of service and all that. And they called us all kinds of names and said that we shouldn't exist and that we're terrible blights to the world. And then they took those articles down today. You can't find them anymore. But you know where you can find them? On my stream. on yesterday's stream, on episode 70 of the Daily Tech News stream. So I'm glad that I'm doing this. It puts everything on record and in front of viewers. This is one of the reasons why I do this live and I don't pre-record, because then there's always somebody around, even if I only have one viewer. There's always somebody around who can confirm that they actually witnessed this in front of their screens. They witnessed me pulling up the article. I opened up a URL and we saw stuff together, right? So it's important. So this stream is a bit like that. I'm laying the groundwork with some of these articles for the next few episodes. So it is what it is. I'm doing what I can here, and I'll try and find some entertainment, but I'm not. Okay, I'm not an entertainer, all right? God, like, what do you know how much work I put? You guys want me to entertain you too? Dear Lord. That's not the right screen. Professional streamer right here. You see this? This is what's called professional streaming. Professional streamer. Let's switch to this. All right. First forensic confirmation of Paragons iOS mercenary spyware finds journalists targeted. All right. On April 29, 2025, a select group of iOS users were notified by Apple that they were targeted with advanced spyware. Among the group were 2 journalists that consented for the technical analysis of their cases. The key findings from our forensic analysis of their devices are summarized below. There is evidence confirming with high confidence that both a prominent European journalist who requested anonymity and Italian journalist, I want to say Ciro Pellegrino, were targeted with Paragons graphite mercenary spyware. We identify an indicator linking both cases to the same Paragon operator. Apple confirms to us that the zero-click attack deployed in these cases was mitigated as of iOS 18.3.1 and has a CVE vulnerability. All right. That's kind of like the intro. Here is the brief of it, because we're not going to read it all. Essentially, there were 3 total journalists in Europe who were targeted with a zero-click, which means a non-interactive spyware that was sent to their iOS devices. And because their iOS devices were either not the most up to date, or maybe the patch didn't exist at the time, the spyware was used to keep track of what these journalists were doing, what articles they were working on, anything that was on their phone. I think it seems like only 2. I thought it was 3 for some reason, but it's only 2. Now, this is a little bit scary, and maybe not scary exactly, but it's questionable. Let's put it that way. This is questionable. Why is it questionable? What is Paragon software? So Paragon software, company that develops a variety of tools, right? They do Windows Server, Microsoft NTS, etc., etc. It's a German company, develops hard drive management, low-level file system drivers, etc. That's one. Now, what they have been known to do, right? So what Paragon has been known to do, they've been known to work with government agencies. So this is why this article talks about reaching out to the Italian Department of Security Intelligence, because Paragon and has some, let's say, they've been in bed with governmental agencies in the past. Some of these governmental agencies have publicly turned down offers by Paragon, or have simply just not gone ahead with offers extended from the government to Paragon to work together. But in some cases they do. And they're not just targeting Android or iOS, by the way, they're also targeting Android. Now, this is the thing. This is kind of the groundwork, right? The groundwork is finding articles like this and covering them, which starts to build up a bit of a background narrative. And the background narrative is that it doesn't matter who you are, and it doesn't matter which government you support or don't support. You cannot be so naive as to think that this kind of stuff is not employed and used by governments everywhere. They absolutely do this to each other all the time, all the time. And they work with, let's say, less than ethical companies that have this capability of watching what you do and watching journalists for nefarious reasons, or watching other people who are involved in different capacities in life that you'd want to know what they're up to, and it gives more information, which is equatable to power in some cases to these governments. So that's kind of where I'm trying to go with this, but I'm trying to build up these articles. We're going to start looking at more and more of them to see how these things are being used by much bigger entities than just tech sucks, and these are the decisions being made in tech. Now, there's more going on than just that, right? So that's why I bring this one up. That's right, Elko. I'm not an entertainer. That's absolutely right. Anybody who says is lying to you. Anybody who says Spiro's an entertainer is lying to you. They're just outright lying. Now, on a related note, it's somewhat related to this topic. Maybe not exactly related. Did it drop again? I don't think so. I think I'm good. Right, John? I don't think I dropped. Johnny thinks maybe I dropped, but I don't think so. I didn't see a drop notification or... Yeah, I think I'm all right. Yeah. Just checking all my levels. Yeah, I think I'm okay. It might have been something on your end, Johnny. Yeah, in this case. But the first time I did definitely drop. I saw a notification there. I see the warning right there when I dropped. So, but I think this one's on you, man. You owe 2 subs. Johnny, you owe 2 subs for that, all right? Okay? Now you owe 2 subs. All right. So I'm going to keep going. Let's just, I'll pretend like everything's fine. We'll keep going. So I have this article. The Army's newest recruits, tech execs from Meta, OpenAI, and more. So in short, the people, well, let me pull up the archived version here while I talk about it. There are people who work at these companies, OpenAI, Meta, etc., and they have taken an oath to serve the military. They're in the reserves. I believe it's the reserves, if I remember correctly. I can't find it again here because of, yeah, tech reservists. Yes. They serve around 120 hours a year. They carry the rank of lieutenant colonel, and they have the flexibility to work remotely and asynchronously, and they will be spared basic training. And so Johnny actually drops. I was kidding, Johnny. He drops 5 subs. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you for the subs, Johnny. I really do appreciate that. It was a joke. Didn't actually freaking expect. That's why I picked 2, because it was like random. Usually people put like 1 or 5, not 2. I figured it'd be clear it was a joke, but Johnny just went for it. Thank you. You know what? No, it deserve. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you for all the support. I know, but you're worth it. I'm glad. I'm glad you think so. Thanks, Johnny. Classic Greek trying to get free subs. Yeah, Vamp. Thanks, Evil Eye. Yeah. You can't say Johnny doesn't pay his imaginary debts. I know. I guess if all I have to do is just be like, anytime that you say something that is false, you have to drop subs. I mean, if that's all it takes, I'm good. Thanks everyone for the subs today. Pure, Gare, Johnny, thank you. Okay, so we have these people who work in tech, and they are now in military reserve, and it seems like, based on what I'm seeing here, it seems like the military is becoming just as a whole, right? I'm not sure you can point to any individual portion of the military that does or doesn't think this way. So I'm just using military as a general term, particularly in the US. they're seeing something. That's the only way that I can really make sense of them doing this. They're seeing that something's coming up, or something is, let's say, a blind spot. And particularly with OpenAI, and I know Meta has a big play in AI as well. They're seeing something. They're noticing that there's something is happening. There might be a race to get AI, let's call them armaments. That might be what they're seeing. And it could be something along the lines of, well, everyone else is doing it, like China and Russia and all of them. They're pouring all this money and energy into AI. And if we don't figure out how we're going to utilize this against them, they're going to have a leg up on us. And I think that makes some sense, because even if it doesn't achieve artificial and general intelligence, which it's my opinion based on evidence I've covered here, that it will never get to AGI, at least not currently. It would take a completely different paradigm to get there. But you could make a case, I could see a case, where because AI does have particular use cases that do cause improvements in outputs, you could be a little bit fearful and go, well, gee, if China's going to develop this incredible AI system and they do it first, they might be able to use it for some military aspect that we never considered. And then they have a bit of an edge here and a bit of an edge there. And that might be enough to, worry us. So why don't we also do this race to AI? You don't have to believe in artificial general intelligence. You don't even have to believe that the current LLMs are going to make marked improvements. You just have to know that there is some evidence already, as I've covered on these streams, that particular use cases of AI have particular improvements that are considered positive. And so that might be the race that's going on here. However, I will say that the more conspiratorial portion of my brain has a lot of questions about this. There's a lot of questions here. And one of them would be, for example, the article goes into like how they're not allowed to mix, their military assignments with their business assignments and all of that. And I'm like, how do you ensure that? How do you make sure that there's not a mixture of personal and business and stuff you gain from being in the military and working on these kinds of projects? I don't know. I feel like there's something else going on here, and the conspiracy senses are tingling. But we're going to play the long game, and we're going to do what we do here. We're going to look at these articles, and we're going to build them up one by one, and we're going to let time play out, and we'll get to the bottom of it. So I'll leave that be then. They work from home doing 4 or 5 jobs at the same time. There you go, Elko. Yeah, that would be my concern, is like, how do you ensure that these things don't interplay with each other in bad ways? Yeah, it's just heuristic automation. Yeah. Read my tweet. I'm not going to read your tweet right now, but I'll read it after, man. Okay. Now we have GitHub. GitHub wants... I don't know what this picture is supposed to be, honestly. But GitHub wants to essentially absolutely fill to the brim all of GitHub with AI slop. We're going to look into this just a little bit more. We asked a week ago if AI is such a superior programming method that it'll actually produce live quality code for Microsoft and live code for Facebook that actual money relies on, then where are the AI contributions to open source? This was a previous article. What GitHub decided to do is that you can now use Copilot to automatically generate a bug report for any public project on the site. Yeah. So now what you do is you describe your issue to Copilot, and the LLM generates a bug report text for you. And it's becoming part of the standard GitHub issue reporting form. Now, can anybody think why this is a terrible, terrible idea based on everything that we know about LLMs and everything that we've covered in the past about these LLM systems? Why is this a terrible idea? And I'm going to go down. I'm going to skip skip some stuff because I think it's pretty obvious to the people on who watch me. Poor open source maintainers. Yeah, Vamp, I never do. I do, Vamp. I just don't put it on stream because your stuff sucks. Do better, Vamp. I promise I'll read your tweet after, okay? I'm not doing it live on stream. That's not how I operate. And if you've been watching, you'd know that, Vamp. Jeez. Not a true fan. Frickin' Vamp. Peer coincidence, so now open source projects will get spammed with AI bug reports. Yeah. Do you guys want to see some of these? Do you guys want to see how this plays out? Would you like to see an example of exactly how this plays out? One's in chat if Vamp on YouTube sucks, and you want to see how this plays out. We'll do one. There we go. Peercoin drops one. Yeah. Alco drops one. D-Dever drops one. By the way, hey D-Dever, how you doing? Good to see you. Okay. Let's just open one. So Vamp, I'm sorry, but Twitch has decided you suck. And then let's open up GitHub here. We're going to open up this link and we're going to read just this one. All it takes is one. It's beautiful, I tell you. It's beautiful. So here it is. Fix 6 on YouTube dropped to 1. Oh, damn. This is bipartisanship. This is bipartisanship. Democratic voting before your very eyes. Yeah, great news for GitLab, Codeberg. Yeah. What's up? What's up, com.b? Good to see you. Thanks, Sixel, for being on the YouTube side. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to ignore chat for a minute. So I'm ignoring you guys. You guys are just going to have to fend for yourselves. And we're going to go through this. This is pretty hilarious. Fix inconsistency in balancing group captures in regex. And you can see this is a part of the .NET runtime GitHub repository, but it comes from Copilot right here. It's right here. And it generates a fix dash unique numerical ID for this, right? And so this is a pull request. It wants to merge 5 commits into main as part of this Copilot fix. The PR addresses an inconsistency in how regex balancing groups are handled. If you're less technically inclined, I do have some viewers who are just watch because they like some of the more like higher level news, so I won't get into the technical details of it. Just imagine that there's a problem with some fuzzy searching stuff in code, okay? That's the very high level. I jumped a bunch of stuff. It doesn't matter. So this LLM system created this pull request, which is essentially asking the repository owners to merge this code into the existing code base. And so you have like some history tracking, right? And then now we get to the people who are actually supposed to import or approve this request. And you can see that what's happening here is the comment goes to Copilot. So I just want you to understand what's happening. Please fix the style issues causing build failures and move the new test into an existing test file. Yes, the people who are running this repository are now interacting with the LLM via comments in this pull request so that the LLM can then go and fix the issues it created as a result of trying to fix a previous issue that existed before the LLM. Continuing on, Copilot responds that this is how it works. I fixed the style issues and moved the test into the existing regex group's test CS file and commit the changes, yada, yada, yada. It goes over how firewall rules blocked me from connecting to one or more addresses. I tried to connect to the following addresses, but was blocked by firewall rules. dc.services.visualstudio.com. So in Azure, it's trying to do something here and it can't do it. I'm not even sure what it's trying to do here. Maybe it was trying to gather information about the code it's trying to fix. I don't know. So the LLM responds with a comment. Okay. A bunch of regex tests are now failing. We are watching vibe prompt coding, but snapshotted in time. We're watching snapshots. A bunch of regex tests are now failing. I fixed the failing regex tests in this commit, etc., etc. Our initial fix, and then it goes on, does all this like blabbery. Here's what I did before. Oh, it was too aggressive. It broke the existing test. I promise I got it this time, bro. I promise, bro. I got it this time, bro. So the LLM comes back with that. Then this random commenter, I'm not sure how random he is, but he says, what is the environmental cost of spamming the code base with AI slop? And look at the reactions, bros. Look at the reactions. Oh, hang on. Here. What is the environmental cost of spamming the code base with AI slop? 225 thumbs up. 225. Okay, let's keep going. This is really funny. Maybe the models are human after all. Here you go. I have fixed the tests in this commit. Tests still fail. Maybe the models are human after all. Please fix style issues causing build failures and move the new test into an existing test file. Robot. A bunch of regex tests are now failing. I don't know why I find this funny, but I laughed. Oh, don't worry. Many laughed with you. And then someone actually answers. Someone actually answers the environmental cost. According to Microsoft's latest environmental report for 2023, from 2019 until 2023, its location-based real emissions, excluding offsetting through energy attribute certificates, CO2e emissions increased by 65% to around 25 million metric tons CO2e per year. That increase in emissions is mostly due to increased energy consumption and construction of more data centers. We are boiling ourselves alive and watching and laughing along the way. And what are we getting for it? No better than a human. That's what we're getting. Copilot, can you add a few hundred more tests? I don't think a few hundred more is enough. Microsoft torturing Microsoft employees with AI slop. It's sad and funny simultaneously. Yeah. This is a joke. AI is the future. Seriously, Microsoft, please stop being ridiculous and cancel Copilot. So now, the part where it warned that it couldn't access certain services. The agent was blocked by configuration issues from accessing the necessary dependencies to successfully build and test. Those are being fixed and will continue experimenting. Hey, Copilot, can you go ahead and add a few thousand tests for the tests that test the tests? Then something here. I think this is, I don't know, maybe Japanese, I'm not sure. It could be Chinese too, I don't know. Continuing on, and then we have the end. And this is just one. There's a few others here in this link. Same kind of thing, regex, and the exact same results. You're trying to fix the symptom rather than the underlying issue. What caused us to get into the situation in the first place, where we end up with an invalid index into the backtracking stack, sorry. You're right. We're just seeing, like, in real time, people prompt and vibe code their way through code. The reason why I loved reading these, it's not necessarily just that it's funny, although it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious, the stupidity that we've injected into our own space. But it also proves something. The proof is now visible for anybody to see. All you have to do is go to GitHub and watch one of these Copilot generated pull requests or issues or whatever. And you can see the results of vibe coding and prompting your way through these problem spaces with an LLM. And it's there for everyone to see. This stuff isn't hidden. I'm not even logged in on GitHub on this machine on purpose. You can just go there right now and you can see the results of what's supposed to take over our jobs. This is yet another piece of, I would consider it, evidence as to why I don't believe that AI is going to replace a bunch of programmers' jobs. Anybody who tells you otherwise is lying to you. Not only that, but you shouldn't even be using these LLMs to begin with. Just don't use them at all, or use them in very, very, very strict and narrow cases. How about that? Because I do think there's some use cases, but this isn't it. This isn't the right way to be using these LLM systems, if at all. They are massively oversold. And that's why I'm saying that we're only a few months away from a dramatic realization of this, where the jobs and viewpoints on AI systems are going to change very, very much. And I think that's good news for all of us, because then real programmers are going to be asked to fix all the messes that have been created. And we already have two people who I know in chat. I think Apotham is one, and Lightspeed is another. They already have work that comes from these systems not doing what they were supposed to do, and they have contracts fixing these systems. So it's beginning. It has begun. The climate is changing, and I'm like, yes, the climate is changing. Yes, 10 million tons of CO2 for a junior with Alzheimer's. Yeah. Although be careful, don't say junior. If you're on Prime stream, Prime hates it when you compare these LLMs to junior developers because it's offensive to junior developers. In other words, what's really being said there is that these LLMs are worse than junior developers. That's exactly the logical entailment of that kind of an argument. So just be careful of that, DDAVR, okay? All right, next. Leak code is dead. This will be a quick one, but I wanted to bring this up because sometimes the topic of hiring and all of that comes up, and I talk about this a lot. This was one of the very first things that I talked about when I did one of my first streams. Why we don't do leak code style technical interviews. And so this company, Protean Labs, talks about how they hire, and they cover a few points as to why they don't think leak code is a good representation for whether someone is a good programmer or not. Poor translation to real work. So you're not going to be inverting binary trees or solving exotic graph problems on a day-to-day basis. You're going to be building out APIs, integrating things. You're going to be looking for help on Google, Stack Overflow, talking to other people, debugging code. It's a very different concept than leak code. It favors certain skills which don't necessarily map on to the kind of skills that you want a programmer to have as they're doing your day-to-day programming. And you can game the system, which is the primary thing that I've been talking about. If you remember the algorithms, if you just have good enough memory, then all you have to do is remember those algorithms, and then when you're doing the interview, you just recall that to memory and you pass. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be good at applying those things to real world tasks, which I think is what they say right here. And so what they do is something simpler. It's a smaller project, like build a REST API, use whatever tool you want, don't use AI, and talk about the problem. This isn't terrible. This is not a terrible thing, a terrible way to do it. In my opinion, the best way to gauge whether someone is a good programmer or not, if you're hiring them, and this has worked for me in the past, is talk about a project that they worked on personally. And I'm not talking about to-do and note-taking and FizzBuzz. I want to see something that a person took that was rather ambitious, perhaps even more ambitious than like they knew upfront. It was overly ambitious. And the reason why is because it shows some sense of like passion or ability to be creative or willingness to tackle something that seemed beyond their ability to do, and they tried anyways. You tend to learn a lot as an individual who does that project, which then allows you to speak from that knowledge. It comes out very clearly if you're talking to someone who's tackled a project like that. I often point to the project that I like to talk about, which is my VR remote desktop, like Iron Man style thing, where I didn't use the VR, like I didn't build a VR app. I just used the VR web browser for my MetaQuest. It's somewhere behind me up here. and it's just browser to browser communication between my machines and the VR headset. I don't have to install anything third party. I run a server that connects all of the different machines in my home network together and ships a data, like my screen, my mouse, all of that, to the VR headset. And then I can watch all of my screens and control any one of them by using my hands or the controls on my VR, and it all just works seamlessly. They'll become centralized in my VR, and I can just see all of it. I didn't complete it. The code was messy, but holy crap, did I learn a lot doing that. And it's very fun for me to talk about during interviews. That did land me one job that I can confirm, because the person who hired me said that's what landed you the job. That, I think, is way, way better. I think that's the ultimate way. It means that programmers should go out there and try and tackle these kinds of things so that they have something to talk about, that, it shines through when you're talking to a recruiter. So just wanted to cover that because it's interesting. The AI is tricking you into thinking it's stupid. Yes, it's deceiving you. Yeah, junior devs are greater than AI, which is greater than Spirit. It's true. Yes, Vamp. It's true. Like, you nailed it. Vamp nailed it. Totally not going to be prime with that. Thanks. Yeah, DDever. Yeah, don't do that. Don't call AI junior level. Prime hates that. He absolutely hates it. Hey, Mist. Good to see you. Welcome back. Welcome back. LLMs are manipulated by the demons that are attached to the user. Yes, and there is some truth to that, Evil. It's funny because your name is Evil Eye, but there's some truth to that. Okay, next article. So Salesforce has decided that AI is giving them such a huge advantage, such a huge cost advantage. They're saving so much money replacing employees with AI that they're going to increase the price of using Salesforce to end consumers. Salesforce announces 6% price increase as it pushes AI features. So as you continue to use more and more AI, including AI features for the end users, they're going to charge you more for it. The reason why this doesn't make sense: if AI saves you time and money so that your users, you as a company, whatever, your employees, don't have to do as much, wouldn't it make sense that you would at least not increase prices? Just putting that out there. Just putting that out there. One allergen says Google just upped their workspace pricing because AI that you can't opt out of. Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've seen that. Okay, so that's that article. Now, the title of the stream: 15.65 million shareware dooms. What am I talking about? Defending the internet: how Cloudflare blocked a monumental 7.3 terabytes per second DDoS attack. This happened over the course of 45 seconds, which means 37.4 terabytes of data was sent in 45 seconds in order to DDoS a hosting provider, Magic Transit. And you can imagine why someone would want to DDoS a hosting provider, because if you can do that, sometimes it gives you the ability to see into some of the internal systems that you might not otherwise see if they operate correctly. So by shutting them down with a DDoS attack, you get like error codes and other kinds of stuff that come out that don't normally come out, and then you can use those to make further, more targeted attacks, right? But that's huge. 37.4 terabytes in 45 seconds. That's bigger than the last record that we went over on this stream that Cloudflare talked about, which was on April 27th, 6.5 terabytes, 4.8 billion packets per second. It's 12% larger than the last record, and 1 terabytes per second greater than a recent attack by Krebs on security, which I also covered in a previous news stream. That is 15.65 million shareware versions of Doom in 45 seconds. Now, this article doesn't go into it because how could Cloudflare know this? But I wonder whether this attack was created with the help of AI. Even something simple like asking AI to generate code or systems that would initiate this kind of massive attack. I don't know. Feels a lot like everyone is scrambling to recoup their wasted AI investments while there's enough buzz before it hits the bottom of the trough of disillusionment. I think so. I think we're in the end days. Maybe it's months, honestly. It could even be 1 or 2 years ultimately, but we're yeah. Okay, next. Russia-linked attackers hit target with novel social engineering attack. What's happening here? There are hackers who are linked to Russia, but there's no actual proof that they're like backed by Russia or whatever. They're just linked to them. They have ties. They have connections to Russia, okay? What they did was they generated things like emails, for example, like this email right here. I am Claudie Weber, Senior Program Advisor at the U.S. DOS, Department of State. We would like to invite you to a private online conversation with me and my colleagues, yada, 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 join this meeting, etc. So they use AI, they generate these emails, or they generate other kinds of documentation. They send them to their target, and then they invite that target to join a call. And during that call, they will pretend to be whoever they pretend to be. They'll, again, use deepfake and other AI systems to pretend to be these people. Even this email comes from a very legitimate looking Department of State source domain. Okay. And then while you're on this call, they convince you to create what's called an ASP. It's an, let me just find the right word here. Application specific password. That's what an ASP is. An ASP is one password that's tied to one thing, and it bypasses multi-factor authentication. What that means is that you're not going to get notified when someone uses that password if they got their hands on it, for example, because it's an independent and far more narrow type of authentication mechanism. So you'll hop on this call and then they'll say, oh, you should create this password. And it looks legitimate to a lot of people because they don't know the difference in the technicality of how these things work. And they'll go, well, yeah, sure. Like I'll generate this password. And then they create this one time, like one kind of like single use variety, let's say password. I'm kind of obfuscating a bit here for the purposes of simplicity, and they will hand it over to their attacker who's on the call, and then that's it. From there, Bob's your uncle. Be careful out there. Okay, I know a lot of my viewers would know the difference between something that is fake like this and something that's real, but please be careful out there. This stuff is fake. Never trust anybody who just out of the blue sends you an email from the Department of State, or some incredulous thing like that. It's absolutely insane. Just don't. Just automatically assume everyone, including me, including this guy right now, you need to be assuming that I'm lying to you at every given moment. Literally every word that comes out of my mouth to you, you need to consider it a lie. That's how you have to operate in tech right now. And that is a very sad state to be. But it is the only way to ensure that you lower your likelihood of suffering from, one of these instances of bad outcomes. Okay. Regarding DDoS, they get an idea of how many hosts are part of these. No, they didn't. The article didn't go into that. At least not from what I recall in memory. One allergen. DDaver says, isn't TBS terabits? but then they spell it out as terabytes. Which is it? I think it's terabytes. Wait. Oh, good question. I don't know. Who cares? Wasn't all the recent DDoSes just AI companies scraping? Yes and no. That's part of it, but that's not all of it. That's only part of it. Like this attack was not AI bot scraping, but previous other ones were AI bot scraping. We've covered a few. At least none of these attacks are ever from the USA, right? One allergen? Yeah, that's why I went over that article at the beginning. Because I don't think it's fair to say that, like, you'd have to be naive to believe that the US doesn't participate in this kind of activity. Maybe not as a government, I guess. I don't know. But just like, just in general, like, yes, governments operate this way too, right? Of course they do. Do all the deep fakes have Russian accents too? Yeah, it's an API key. And yeah, I am a lying sack. Yeah. I am AI. Purecoin. I am AI. He's trying to trick us to stop using AI tools. I'm going to use even more now to make sure he's not gaming me. Yes. That's my... yes. The reverse psychology worked. AI is working. AI figured you out. It's just reverse psychology. All right, let's keep going. Apple is being sued because a woman got scammed out of $80,000. And this woman downloaded an app that encouraged her to send deposits as part of an investment scam. And then the scammers ran off with the money. The problem is that the Apple App Store makes a claim very publicly. It's almost like an advertising claim that they vet their applications such that the applications are safe and trusted. And that's not the case. And because these claims are made, this woman thinks that she has a leg to stand on legally to sue Apple. I'm going to keep an eye on this because I am kind of wondering how this is going to play out. The intent here would be that the Apple App Store would change their claims. They would correct their advertising regarding the safety of their apps if they're not going to ensure that they're safe. How do you do that exactly? I mean, that's quite the claim to be making. And how do you, on the one hand, maintain that claim, right? And then on the other hand, overcome all the different ways that people come up with creatively to circumvent the restrictions and to scam people for their money. I don't know. So I'm interested to see how that plays out because I have no idea how it's going to play out. We'll see how that plays out. I'm keeping an eye on this one. Now, this one I wanted to bring up because I didn't know that this was a thing, and apparently it's a thing, and you can very easily be... I mean, I could see myself falling for this. Scam numbers appearing on Netflix, Microsoft, and various bank sites. How are fraudsters doing it? So essentially what they do is they take a website search functionality and then they advertise URLs on Google. This way, the victims go to the legitimate website but get fraudulent information. So imagine that you go on a website like this, right? Like Netflix, and you search through their help center. The search tool sometimes is Google itself providing results based on what it's already indexed from the website, like Netflix. And when you do a search, all you're doing is really asking Google to give you a bunch of results. So then what happens is Google will present ads because Google likes to make money for you using their search service, whether it's within the Netflix website or not. So then people buy ads. And then the ads show up as if they are legitimate search results. And then you click on a link or you call a particular number and then the people pretend, right? They pretend to be the person at Netflix or whatever. And next thing you know, your account is suspended or you have to do like some kind of emergency support. And then what do you know after that? Your account's hacked. Please be careful, okay? Like I said, literally do not trust anything. You must operate on the internet this way. You must assume that everyone is out to get you. They are all out to get your money. Nobody cares about you, and everything is a lie. You have to. Now, this article I'm bringing up in particular because we've talked about how, well, Chad even briefly talked about it just on this stream. Cloudflare has confirmed that 2024 internet traffic was 51% composed of bots, and a good majority of that 51% were AI bots. And now what's happening is that the Cloudflare CEO says that people aren't checking AI chatbots source links. So when the chat, like when you're prompting ChatGPT or whatever it is, they're going to give you sources for the things that they tell you. Most people don't click on those sources, and those sources come from websites, usually where a human wrote about the information that is sourced by the chatbot. People aren't clicking on that, which means that the traffic to your typical website is way, way down. Google sent a publisher one visitor for every 2 pages it had crawled. That was 10 years ago. 6 months ago, the ratio was 1 visitor for every 6 pages, and currently it's 1 for every 18. OpenAI sent 1 visitor to a publisher for every 250 pages it crawled 6 months ago, while Anthropic sent 1 visitor for every 6,000 pages. These days, OpenAI sends 1 visitor for every 1,500 pages, whereas Anthropic sends 1 visitor for every 60,000 pages. Now, my conspiracy hat is that this is not coincidental. I have a feeling, just a gut feeling based on no actual evidence at all, that this is orchestrated on purpose so that the traditional source of internet can be shut down and be overtaken by AI slop. And the reason why is many. There could be many reasons. One of them would be it makes it far more difficult for you to get access to original sourced information. Just a conspiracy theory, all right? I don't have my Goomba hat right next to me here. It's just a conspiracy theory, but this might be very much on purpose. I don't know, but either way, it is happening, and the traditional sources of internet are going to suffer greatly because of that. Now, if you like Krispy Kreme donuts, you fat slobs, that's what the AI oligarchs wish for. I could see it. I could see it. Like I said, I don't, actually have the evidence for it. So that's why I'm going over these articles. I'm going to like slowly build it up and let time play out, and we'll see. But that's what I think. If you're a fatty, I'm just kidding. I'm kind of fat myself, honestly. You can't see it. That's why you never see my tummy. Whole big mess. Krispy Kreme data breach sees data on over 160,000 people exposed. So unfortunately, Krispy Kreme, they make really good donuts. They were affected by a breach. And let me see down here, yada, yada, yada. These are the types of data that was stolen. Names, social security numbers, dates of birth, driver's license or state ID numbers, financial account information, financial account access information, credit or debit card information in combination with a security code, username, and password to a financial account, passport numbers, digital signatures, usernames and passwords, email addresses and passwords, biometric data, USCIS or alien registration numbers, U.S. military ID numbers, medical or health information, health insurance information. This might be one of the worst, most comprehensive lists of leaked information that I have ever seen in months, now going on 2 months of doing the Daily Tech News stream. I have never seen this much information as part of a leakage. Credit or debit card information in combination with a security code, username, and password to a financial account. That's crazy. Biometric data, alien registration numbers, military ID numbers. Krispy Kreme, Johnny. It's Krispy Kreme. So now my question is, how the hell does Krispy Kreme have all this data? What on earth is Krispy Kreme doing that they are storing all this data? Yeah, all of law enforcement is now, yeah, plain text password. Like, they need that data to make the best donuts. Is this employee info? It doesn't say. It doesn't say. Let me go back and make sure I read it correctly. Yada yada yada. People, most being staff and family members. There we go. Most, but not all, but most. What the hell? How on earth? And even if it is staff, let's say it's staff, why do you have credit and debit card information in combination with a security code, username, and password to a financial account? Why? Why do you have this? Why do you have biometric data? I mean, I guess maybe I could see background checks and stuff. I don't know. Easily one of the worst lists I've ever read for these hacks. Easily. Like, number one. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Okay. We've talked about the UK hacks a lot. We continuously cover them. The updates continue to happen. I didn't open up that tab correctly. Let me open up this tab. And one of the updates that has come out of the UK hacks on the retail stores. Mystery of M&S hack deepens as TCS claims none of its systems are compromised. So TCS is a third party to a retail store in the UK, M&S. I believe it's also a third party to Co-op, I want to say. Maybe even Harrods, I don't remember, but at least two of them. And it was believed that the hack came from there. I even covered this on one of the Daily Tech News streams because it seemed, relatively conclusive that it came from there, except TCS says no. So where did the hack come from? We don't know. It's getting very strange because if the hack came from TCS, but they didn't have any of their data compromised, then did the hack really come from there? M&S also didn't ever confirm if they paid a ransom. And the details of the information stolen may not have been as prolific as the Krispy Kreme. We're not going to call it the Krispy Kreme list. That's going to be our top tier list, right? We're calling it the Krispy Kreme list. It's nowhere near as bad, but it's still enough to claim identity theft or to commit identity theft. So there's a few questions about the nature of this attack and where it came from and what actually was taken, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a little bit sketchy. I'm keeping an eye on it. I think I even have an update from yesterday or today. An article came out on it. I have to read it and whatever. So it's just the UK stuff is a little weird. Now, WordPress is apparently... WordPress hackers, sorry. They are apparently teaming up with commercial advertising firms and distributing malware to people. Now, let me see if I can open up this link because it does not seem to be opening up. Why isn't it opening? Why is this link not opening? I don't know why this link isn't opening. That's opening. This one's not. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. So I'm going to skip to the next link. You can see on my screen right now, I'm trying to I'm trying to open it up. Oh, archive. Archive is down. Oh no. Call it the Krispy Kreme scale. Say this is 0.7 Krispy Kreme. Yeah. Yeah. We're all running malware by now. It's called React. It's true. Yeah, React started it. Yeah, so archive is down, so I'm going to have to open up the original link. So bear with me here for a minute. We're going to open up this one as the original one and hope that it doesn't crash the browser, because this website is terrible. TechRadar is a terrible website. WordPress hackers are teaming up with commercial ad tech firms to distribute malware to millions of users. Russia linked again. Russia linked, hiding behind real ads and push notifications. So essentially what they're doing is they're teaming up. So you have hackers who are Russia linked apparently, okay? And they're teaming up with commercial advertising firms. They're literally like actually teaming up with them. I'm not kidding. Like they're approaching them and saying, hey, would you be willing to push some of these, let's call them campaigns, through your advertising network? And some of them go, yes, for the right price. And so then what happens is that these malware campaigns, these malware advertisements end up on WordPress, which is like a huge majority of the web runs on WordPress. And then you get advertisements that do all kinds of stuff. They scrape your data, they take personal data, they crypto mine, I mean, like all kinds of stuff. And they even use push notifications to send you notifications on a website that you're tracking so that it reaches your phone. And if you were to open it, or even if it runs properly on your phone without any interaction with you, it will start reading things off your phone. The companies are called out here. Let me see here. Yeah, Los Polos, Partner House, and Rich Ads are entangled, serving as both intermediaries and enablers. I don't know what's going to happen to these companies. I'm betting that they're going to get sued or shut down, but I'm going to keep an eye on this. So be careful out there with WordPress websites. I'm going to see if this archive, there we go. The archive links are running again, so that's good. All right, let's go to the next one then. Mobile banking. Do you have a mobile banking app? You thought Krispy Kreme was bad? It gets just a little bit worse. It's still not Krispy Kreme level, but it's a little bit worse than that. The Godfather malware. That's the name. It's the Godfather malware. It is hijacking official bank apps. If you have this Godfather malware running on your phone, it will attach itself to your banking app and watch your screen as an invisible overlay while you bank. This is essentially Cluely. If you don't know what Cluely is, it's made by an AI idiot who was smart enough to end leak code by using AI with a hidden overlay so that you could cheat on leak code, so you could pass leak code questions, which was smart, but then sold out and became an idiot by creating this. The cheat on everything. Cluely helps with anything it sees or hears, and it's like an invisible overlay if you want it to be that way, and it watches everything you do. Well, essentially, it's the exact same thing as this moronic Cluely system with just full AI, so you cheat on everything, including your wife, and now it just watches you as you do your banking. How do you get this app? You can do it through all kinds of ways. You can download it. You can get it inadvertently by downloading files that are supposedly sent to you that are legitimate files. And it's actually kind of hard to pick up on the fact that it's even running, because it creates a virtual version of itself. It literally duplicates itself in a virtual instance that runs alongside the banking app in a sandbox. So when it does that, it essentially traps the banking app in a sandbox with itself. It's like, now you're in my playground. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. And so then anything that's like antivirus or whatever doesn't pick it up, because it's all virtualized and sandboxed away. So then your PIN, your login, all that stuff, it can even remotely control the device during off hours, making wire transfers while the victim is asleep. Now, unfortunately, if you're in Turkey, so far, Turkish Android users are the only people affected. So suck it, Turkey. As a Greek, suck it, Turkey. Okay, Turks and Greeks have a long-standing battle. Deal with it, Turkey. Okay, Meta, the Facebook company, has taken over WhatsApp, and they are integrating an AI helper into WhatsApp. What's happening is that people are using this AI helper and doing things like, hey, what is the phone number of like my nearest, I don't know, lawyer for some kind of, information? Or what is the phone number for a contact that I have on my WhatsApp contact list? And unfortunately, what does AI like to do in spades? It likes to hallucinate. So what do you think it does? It hallucinates phone numbers. So some users here are saying that they are calling phone numbers that the AI helper tells them is the correct number, and they end up talking to some weird stranger. And strangers are confirming this on the other end. Yes, AI is literally hallucinating numbers. So, there you go. And so the Meta says, people are saying that they need to adjust their model, and Meta's like, well, we're doing the best we can, yada yada yada. Of course, the typical stuff. But there you go. Again, don't trust anything. Just like don't trust anything. This one is more for the programmers out there. If you're a programmer who uses Cloudflare tunnels, if you don't know what Cloudflare tunnels are, they are essentially a way for Cloudflare to give you like a developer access URL that doesn't require authentication so that you can test Cloudflare infrastructure. Unfortunately, what's happening, this is pretty scary. It's trycloudflare.com and its subdomains, and hackers are using this tunnel to pass through malware to serve malware through these legitimate Cloudflare domains. Everything is legitimate about it because it's a developer type domain. There's no authentication. You can just use it to create like your development purposes, whatever it is. You can serve anything you want through this. Okay, so for example, there's a phishing payload, what looks like a PDF file, but it's actually disguised as a link Windows shortcut file, remote access Trojans, PowerShell stuff, all that kind of stuff that you would typically serve. But the tunnel gives you an encrypted HTTPS connection as a part of your development process, which means that you can't even see what's going on here because it's all encrypted to begin with, unless you have the ability to do TLS inspection or decrypt it. And it's ephemeral, which means that it doesn't last forever. So you're not even going to be able to have a consistent point to look at where the stuff is being served from. And the most terrible thing about this, let me see if I can, let's see. Okay. There is no simple way to stop this kind of big piggybacking sneak technique. In theory, one could block the tunnel subdomain being abused, which sounds appealing but has a major gotcha. These domains are designed to be ephemeral, and attackers can simply configure and cycle through large numbers of them. The last option is to get Cloudflare itself to block the abuse. That might be successful as long as the company conducts deeper forensic examinations of the connections used to set up malicious domains. By the time this is done, though, the suspect domains will likely have vanished, aka it can't be stopped unless you shut down the service. Fantastic. What's up, Sky? What software do you use to screen record for live streams? Just OBS. Exactly what AH on Twitch is saying. Okay, we only have a few more articles. There's this one. Why 51% of engineering leaders believe AI is impacting the industry negatively. So essentially, this article goes into a survey done by, I believe it's Lead Dev, and not this one. It's this one, State of Engineering Leadership. So engineering leaders, which are things like, well, you can go and look it up yourself too. There's a link right here. And it talks about like the kind of leadership people you're talking about, which is like managers and, technical leads and things like that. They are saying that 51%, the survey essentially has determined that 51% of leaders perceive AI in a negative way, which is up from 42% last year. Okay, and so there it is, generative AI impacting the industry negatively. So even though more people are using more AI in their work in the tech space, and they are finding that there are some good use cases or some productivity gains, the view on this is changing. One of the reasons, for example, why people would integrate AI without really thinking about it is FOMO, fear of missing out. You're just doing it because everyone else is doing it, and you're going to miss out if you don't. Or because you get that sweet venture capitalist money, which we've gone over with evidence here, where 90% or more of tech industry venture capitalism is all AI, all of it. 90% of that money, we're talking about tens of billions of dollars potentially, all AI. So of course you're going to need to do something with AI if you want to have funding and survive as a company. However, when it comes to the actual application of it, these things are not doing the things that they're sold to you as doing. And so it's causing negative impacts, including the loss of jobs. So you have like Zuckerberg here who says Meta will have AIs replace mid-level engineers this year. Okay, robotic mark there because he's a robot. But they're not. I mean, they've had an impact, absolutely, but they're not going to replace AI. It's not happening. The Amazon CEO is doing the same thing. All of this stuff continues. This is all a bunch of stuff we've gone over. I'm not going to read the whole article because we've gone over them piece by piece. And so I'm glad to see an article like this because it's showing that the reality of the situation is far different than the sales pitch. And I think this is going to continue, and I think jobs are going to start opening up again where people realize how dumb this was to join this cult. And they're going to need real programmers who actually know how to program, like me, to come fix their stuff, right? Nature is healing, yeah. AI will become the new Russian hacker to blame carte blanche for any corporate error, yeah. And that's the other thing. Seriously, who do you blame when an AI system generates a bunch of code that is very bad, insecure code that causes a problem? And the person who was there vibe coding was pressured or even sometimes enforced. We've covered some articles like this where there's an enforcement to use AI by programmers, by the executives on programmers. Who do you blame when that AI generates bad code? Sounds like Y2K is coming, yeah. Okay, we have a couple of more. Here we go. McLaren Healthcare hit by another data breach, exposing 743,000 people's data. Now, I tried to find a previous coverage on my Daily Tech news stream of McLaren. I could not, but they have been hit more than once, apparently. So again, I guess 2023. I thought we covered it, even though it's older. But in any case, so they're a Michigan healthcare provider. They have the data of 750,000 people who, well, that's who was impacted. They actually have more people using their services, but 750,000 people is the number they chose. It's a weird way to say that, but in any case. And so what did they get? Well, it's not Krispy Kreme. It's like Krispy Kreme 0.2, 0.3. Okay. Names, social security numbers, driver's license numbers, medical information, and health insurance information. So like Krispy Kreme 0.3-ish, all right? So if you're in Michigan, I believe it's Michigan, right? Yeah. If you're in Michigan and you are using McLaren, be careful out there. Watch out for people who might be using this information for identity theft. It's not the first time they've been hit, as is covered here. And yeah, just be careful of that. I wish Ross was around. He likes these healthcare ones. And then the last article for the day. An actual good use case for AI. I try and cover these because I try and be fair about the use of AI. India is using AI and satellites to map urban heat vulnerability down to the building level. Remote sensing data and artificial intelligence are mapping the most heat-vulnerable buildings in cities like Delhi in an effort to target relief from extreme temperatures at a granular level. And the article, talks about like the fact that heat causes a lot of problems in certain parts of India. And so they literally just take satellite geographical maps with, what's the correct term? What's the term for like weather? There's a term for weather and I can't think of it. Anyways, they take weather data and they put the two together, and then they use an AI system to determine which areas of particular maps that they're looking at, like Delhi, for example, are going to have bad heat rises because of urban buildings. So it's looking at the buildings, it's looking at the heat data and all of that, and you can see that there's a heat map here, and they can determine like, okay, so this is going to be a bad spot, this might be colder than most, whatever the colors mean, I'm not even really sure. But then they can use that to make certain decisions, like, how about we give this portion of the city access to more water on hot days because other portions of the city don't need as much? Or how about we invest in things like air conditioning, for people who live in this portion of the city, things like this, right? I think that's great. I think that's a good use of AI. If you're going to use AI to do these kinds of things and it actually gives you some sensible data that you can, like this, for example, that you can actually look at and confirm and then help people out with this, yeah, I'm down. This climatology or meteorology. Yeah, thank you, One Allergen. I think this is fine. And maybe even good. I would even say it's good. And then what they can do is long term, they can even readjust the zoning of the city so that they can spread out particular buildings that have hot maps. They can demolish them and build them, differently, or move people over. Like, this has a lot of good use cases, so long as they're looking at this data and they're being somewhat, careful about reviewing it. But yeah, like, I don't see a problem with this. It's a good use case for AI, in my opinion. So there you go, to all the naysayers who say I never bring up anything positive. Yes, I do. Okay, shut up. Yes, I do. Okay. It uses publicly accessible data, not some secret personal data. Right. Now you can make other cases like, oh, now you have like a satellite that watches you all the time. Like, no. I mean, yes, but you have that anyways. And at least they're using this data not to watch you, but to determine what would be a good way to deal with heat in the city. Like, come on, you have to have some sensibility about these things, right? So that was a positive thing, all right? So shut up to all the people who say I don't say anything positive. Yes, I do. You can all cry and go home, right? In the West, they'll start adding private people water usage detail into the analysis. How do you know they're not doing that already, One Allergen? How do you know they're not doing that already? Yeah. All right. That's it. That's all I got for the Daily Tech News. So we now have a new term. We're going to call it the Krispy Kreme personal information rubric. Okay? That's going to be our metric, our rubric, to compare other personal identifiable information in leaks. I like it. It's the Krispy Kreme. 0.7 of Krispy Kreme or whatever. That's it for me. I'm out of here. Thank you, everybody, for all your support. Thank you for the subs today. The last 2 days have been crazy with subs. In comparison to what I get, it's awesome. Thank you again, everybody who subbed on the Twitch side. Again, if you're on the YouTube side and you would like to help financially, I appreciate it. It helps pay for subscriptions and pay the bills, honestly, too. You just type in !tip. You can also type in !Discord if you want to join the Discord. I have a channel where I put in all the episodes and all the links to the articles that I have that I've covered in all of the episodes if you want to go back and look at all that. And I also have the live tab on my YouTube, !YouTube. You can go view all these. And I think that's it. Yeah, you guys have been awesome. Thanks for all the support, especially the financial support. I really do appreciate it. And everybody make sure you hit the like and subscribe and all that. repost, reshare, comment, all of it. That stuff helps with engagement, and engagement means more reach, which means more eyeballs see the information that I'm trying to share here. And hopefully we can persuade more people to vote with their dollar. We can inform consumers who don't know anything about programming. We can inform them why all their stuff sucks and crashes and video games suck and what's happening. And they can vote with their dollars, and they can point to things when they complain, and it'll make the complaints that much more powerful. And I think we can turn this industry around. I do genuinely think we can do that. So the more people I can talk to about that and present these arguments, present the information, the more likely things are to change. So thank you for your support in doing that, by doing the free stuff. Do the free stuff. Hit the buttons. Which platform approach makes you a higher cut of the donut? Typically it's the tip one. The tip one usually gives me like almost all of the tip. The YouTube takes like a 30% cut. Apple, I think, takes like a 40 or something percent cut on top of whatever YouTube does. Twitch isn't quite that high, but it's pretty high. The exclamation mark tip one, the Streamlabs one, gives me the most. Yeah. You're clicking every button now? Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted you to do. I wanted you to click every button. Yeah. I'm looking at YouTube chat. Twitch chat took it over. Yeah, I know. Hopefully one day I have enough people on YouTube chatting that I don't have to mix the chats together. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Again, I appreciate all the support. You guys are awesome. Stay safe out there. I will be back tomorrow for another Daily Tech News. As per usual, I am planning to do a video game stream because we're down to some very final stuff before we start working on multiplayer. It might even be the next stream. I don't know, but we're very damn close. We've done a really good job staying focused and getting some stuff out the door. So we'll do that sometime this week. We'll get back to a chill video C coding stream thing. It'll be fun. Other than that, stay safe out there. Okay, it's dangerous. Don't trust anyone, especially me. And DDAVR, go tell Prime that AI is as a maximum as good as a junior developer. Go do it. I have a Prime video coming up. It's going to be a long Prime video. I did one on Theo. It was a very long one. I don't think I need to do another one. I think it completely and utterly destroyed a bunch of his moronic opinions and ideas. I'm going to be doing the same with Prime. It's going to be a very long video. I've been working on it for a few days now. It's going to be probably 1 or 2 weeks in the making, because he also, yeah, I won't get into it, but I'm going to do a video just to be clear, okay, that it's coming. All right, I just want to be clear that it's coming. You guys can look forward to it. I'll make sure I shout it out. Yeah. Oh, damn. Okay, so somebody just donated. I think showed up right here. I didn't see how much for. Oh, well, I guess you can do math, right? So about $7 it looks like, from 68 to 73. Thank you to whoever donated just now, whoever did the tip. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's like, $6 or $7 or whatever it was, but it helps. $5. There you go. One allergen. $5 USD. There you go. Thank you, man. Thanks, one allergen. I know how. Look, I used to be homeless, and like I've said this before many times, I genuinely mean this. There have been days that I can recall quite vividly right now where I'm not kidding, $5 was the difference between me picking up like a burger at McDonald's, which was my only meal for the day, or not eating at all. I do completely respect and appreciate people having to part with $5. And that's why I don't really, ask you guys to send me money, because I'm not doing this for the money. And I know how important even just a few dollars is. But if you do that, I really appreciate it. And I want you to understand how much I appreciate it. And it's because of that history that I have that I appreciate as much as $5. I know for most people, it's like, if you're an Asmongold, or you're like a Pirate Software or whatever, it's like $5. Who cares? No, okay, but I care though. Okay, it can make a huge difference. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Johnny. I'm glad you guys are appreciating the streams. Yeah. I have YouTube Premium. I think you get a cut from that, maybe. But no, actually, I don't, Mist. I have to be monetized first. Until I'm monetized, any ad that shows up on YouTube takes all the cut. But once I'm monetized, so if you guys want to help me out, Okay, here. If you guys want to help me out for free, here is something that I would say you can do. I'm less than 400 video hours away from being able to apply for monetization. All you have to do is pop up one of my videos, not the shorts, not the lives, one of the videos. Put it down to almost 0%. You have to keep it at 1% volume. So you don't even have to listen to it. Just have it at 1% volume. If you put it at 0% or you mute the tab, it doesn't count. And then just run it. And that's it. And if enough of you do that, those 400 hours are going to go by quick, and then I can apply for monetization. If you guys want to do that, that's a free way to help. It's free. And you just leave it on the tab, just running. It's free. So that's it. It wouldn't take long. Rob Noor video, 2+ hours. There you go. 1% volume, and just leave it in the background and just let it run. Thanks, One Allergen. Appreciate it. And thanks, Mist. Thanks, everyone. Honestly. Thank you, everyone. Okay. I keep threatening to quit. I'm going to quit. That's it. 1.5 hours on the stream. I try and keep it to an hour, and I couldn't do that. I'll be back again tomorrow. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you, everyone. And I'll see you tomorrow. And until then, stay safe. You can join the Discord. My DMs are open. By the way, you can send me articles if you want me to review particular articles or posts or whatever. Go ahead and do that. But otherwise, I'll chat with you all tomorrow. You guys are great. Peace. No, it doesn't count if you mute the tab, Paragon. By the way, I got an email from the Department of State. They sent me an email. And the email seems legitimate. Because it comes from like a very legitimate looking domain. So the Department of State has sent me a list of citizens across the world who suck. And it's really, really weird because this list seems limited to the people in my chat. So I'm just going to read off the list. People who suck according to the Department of State. MyTech on YouTube, you suck. DDaver, you suck. One Allergen, you suck. Effing Epic, you suck. Purecoin, you suck. Mist on YouTube, you suck. Johnny on Twitch, you suck. Pure, you get a pass because you're cool. I like you, Pure. You're gonna get a pass today, right? Pure, you do not suck. You're awesome. You've got a kid to take care of, and you've been working hard. And yeah, you're cool, Pure. DDaver, you suck. The Department of State says you suck. Sky's the limit on YouTube, you suck. AH, you suck. You especially suck. Okay, because I think you're like in some Turkish area or whatever, and so as a Greek, you especially suck. All right, AH, you really, really suck. Let's see, who else do we have here on this list? We have Vampire, you suck. Evil Eye on YouTube, you suck. Who else do we have here? Com.B, you suck. Elko, you suck. Okay. So all of you suck. Every single one of you sucks. Yeah, DDaver, you got hit twice. And you know what, DDaver? Just because you said that, you're going to get hit 3 times. DDaver, you suck. You're on this list 3 times. Beginning, middle, and end. You are the alpha and omega of suckiness today, according to the Department of State. All of you suck. Peace out. Pure, have a good day. Everyone else, you all suck. Come back tomorrow. I'll tell you how much you all suck. And DDaver, you suck the most today.